How we doing, folks? This is the Doug Rice Show. I am doing a live cam from Gaza for, I don't know, just to see what happens. I've seen others do this, so we're going to take a look, make sure, just see what happens, and we will go from there. I hope that we don't see anything too horrific, but we will find out. I'll come back from time to time. Everybody, just enjoy yourself. How you doing, folks? Doug Rice. Welcome to the live from Gaza. I have decided to do what I see others do to try to get as much attention from you as I can. And so here we go with the live cam, and it's just focused on Gaza. I'm going to come back and forth as the audience grows, take some questions. Who nobody knows, but if I find something interesting, I will share it with you. I also might take some questions, maybe chop it up a little bit. But as things get more tense, and night is there and day is here, hey, let's stay aware of what's happening. So, like, subscribe, share to this live from Gaza Cam. I am Doug Rice. That's what I do, and I'm trying to be all I can. All right, folks. Here you go. How you doing, folks? Welcome to the Doug Rice Show. This is Doug Rice live with a live cam from Gaza. Just kind of seeing the flares that they're shooting up. I think that helps the drones that they have constantly roaming over the skyline of Gaza find any insurgents that might be remaining after all of the all of the insaning. I like that. All right. Well, I got some interesting stuff I can read about what's going on, especially the hospital in Hamas and the accusation that it is housing insurgents, Gaza insurgents. There's some, I guess, taking validity to that or not, depending on where you stand. I'm going to look up some interesting information. For Israel, the raid on Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital is a firm message to Hamas. This from Haaretz, Israel News. Israel took the risk of a complex maneuver entailing increased contact with Hamas, the core security infrastructure. The IDF wants to signal that even though the current raid has limited goals, there is no place its forces fear to enter, and there is no place Hamas can feel safe. Well, I think they've made that pretty clear by what we're seeing here. Very, very interesting. Now that's slighted to Israel's favor, of course. From another source, you'll get another flavor. Here again from Haaretz, it says, Israel Army says, info on hostages found in Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital. Director, Army removed bodies. So that's interesting. A lot of this stuff is pouring out into the life of Americans, and you can see how these folks are kind of getting rattled by all of this. It's going to be interesting. Please stay away from those that identify themselves as Americans every day you can. They can be some of the most dangerous people that you know. It's just a word to the wise. That's all. All right, I'll be back in a minute. You guys be sure to like, subscribe, share. Remember, this is brought to you by Twidware. And thanks so much for being here. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Welcome again to the Doug Rice Show, live from Gaza. No, I'm not in Gaza. I would be in great harm, or I would be causing great harm, and I don't want to do that. So we are having a live cam from Gaza Strip. They keep showing these flares, and it's a trip. And I don't know. I just want to be able to do this, just as I see others do it. Provide you some insight into what we are looking at, and maybe give you some news from time to time throughout the day. Please like, subscribe, share, whatever comes your way. Again, this is the Doug Rice Show, brought to you by TWID. That's what I do because I said it, and there it is. Okay. Now there we've got some flares going off pretty tough there. Usually before they have those flares go up, when they go multiple flares like that, it usually precedes some sort of night attack. It's kind of interesting they're doing this to such a degree, but hey, listen to me. We've got some interesting attitudes regarding what Negroes should feel regarding the Gaza, the Palestinian-Israeli situation. And as far as I'm concerned, we should take no station, no side whatsoever. Let them reside. Let them do whatever they want to do. Neither Palestinian nor Jew support me or you, and that's the truth. My wife and I were discussing it this morning. She was feeling, extremely sad for the children that experience what they experience, and I agree. It's a horrible thing for these kids to experience. I also understand the beliefs of Arabs, the Arab slave trade, their thoughts regarding Negroes, black-skinned people generally. I also think about the Most High in directing Hebrews to do away with Canaanites of all ages. And, I'm not in any way sanctioning what's going on. I think it's an absolutely egregious situation. I understand both sides of the coin from both their nations. I do. And one of the things that strikes me as interesting is how they asserted the belief that there are insurgents in the hospitals, and it seems they have proof, but no one truly believes. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for tuning in to the Doug Rice Show. I'll be back shortly. Please like, subscribe, and share. We're brought to you by Twitwit. All right, folks, thanks again. Showing up, showing in. This is the Doug Rice Show Live, Gaza Cam, and a little bit of news from that area of the world as long as we are, taking care of some business here. Telecommunications blackout will lead to more Israeli war crimes. That's what the Gaza Media Office says. Ismail Thwabata, the Director General of the government media office in Gaza, warned the blackout could also allow Israel to hide any evidence of its war crimes. That's because Israeli military actions against hospitals and other sites in the conclave or the enclave will be hidden from the eyes of international organizations and countries around the world. Swabata told reporters in a brief news conference moments ago. This will deepen the humanitarian crisis. No one will be able to have contact with medical teams, with the civil defense, with the municipalities, and all institutions in Gaza, Thwabata said. He called for the immediate opening of the Rafah boarding crossing to allow for much needed humanitarian aid into Gaza. So there's an update of a little bit of a kind there, and we're just going to stick on the camera. Who knows what we'll find there? Thanks so much for showing up. This is the Doug Rice Show. I'll come back with more updates as they present themselves. Howdy, folks. Doug Rice, just checking out the atmosphere on the Gaza Strip. See others do this, and well, I decided to give it a whirl, and I dig it. I think it's an interesting way to spend your day if you're going to do a live. We've been at this for under an hour. I'm going to be going for as long as they let me go. Who knows? Maybe I'll do it later in the day, but this is the time the live cams are really out and they got a lot to say. So I'm just going to keep it this way. All right. We'll find some news. I go to Al Jazeera News because they have minute-to-minute updates. They bring it in style. In fact, I could probably show you, but I want to come off the. So the message inside Israel remains. This is the latest 4 minutes ago from Al Jazeera. And please understand, I take no sides in any of this melee. This has to do with Negroes moved out of the way. And I've had a lot to say about that. So, both of them are at fault. The Arabs sold us out of the way to make way for the European Ashkenazi invaders, and they had a lot to say. And I got to tell you, they enriched themselves along the way. So they're fighting against the people they invited in. They're fighting against the people that are not their kin. So they get to reap the rewards of that sin. All right, I like that one. That brought it in. Okay. All right, back to it, folks. If something of any remains happening, I'm going to let you know. But here's the latest news. So, message inside Israel remains. It's us or them expert. That's what it is. It says that Akiva Elder, an Israeli journalist and political analyst, said most members of the Israeli public are accepting whatever they are fed from the Israeli military. When they get the daily message from the spokesman of the Israeli army, and the panelists are sitting around and discussing this as the only fact in town. There's no question in the public opinion that Israel is the only victim in this story. There is a complete dehumanization of the other side. If you dare to say something that there are innocent people on both sides who are devastated and babies on both sides are being killed, you may even get an invitation to the police station to be asked if you are a real Israeli patriot. So that's what's going on in the state of Israel, the state of confusion, the state of illusion, the state of delusion. Yeah. It's all mixed up. They will only tell so much truth. If they got to the bottom of why this is happening, it would point to Negroes, and they can't have that. So they are kind of stuck in their own little gravity hole, and it's going to suck away at every last one of their soul. I like that one. That ended well. I'm going to be back, folks. I'm going to look for more news. Just pay attention to the screen and, take in the scene. All right, folks. I'll be back in a bit. All right, folks, I try to come back with a little bit of news, something that you might mentally peruse. Telecom's blackout comes as Israeli forces relentlessly attacking Gaza. AJ correspondent. Al Jazeera's Tariq Abu Azum, reporting from Khan Younis in southern Gaza, says people are embarking on yet another night of an absence of communication. This comes as Israeli forces are relentlessly targeting different areas across Gaza, including the north, central, southern parts of the Strip. The telecommunications blackout is also affecting some 1.6 million Palestinians who have been displaced from Gaza's north. They don't have any communication with the outside world, Abu Azum said. People depend on radios now in order to get the news from the local channels. Deliberate attacks by Israeli forces on telecommunication towers, isolating Palestinians from the world, he added. So, as we watch this show and we watch the live cam in Gaza, just remember, anything could happen at any moment. So let's just make sure we are tuned in. Thanks so much. And I'll be back when the next news hits. Take a break. There, folks. Got a little bit here. Go to twidwear.com. Get 10% off all your purchases. Skincare, Twidwear, Twid Gear. It's a brand. Take a quick break for the brand. Here we go. Yeah, folks, there we are. Need you to be attentive to our sponsor, Twid, the brand. We've got all kinds of stuff. Just wanted you to get a taste of that. We're just checking out the live cam from Gaza, which is what we're doing right now. And once we get some fresh news from Al Jazeera, I'll be here to read it to you. I do thank you for showing up. And thanks, share with all your friends. Now, I do have the sound on for you guys that might be interested. It's the reason there's no sound. I mean, I do have the sound on, and there is sound. If there's activity, it's going to show you the activity. You'll see it. It's live. It's a live feed from Gaza. They got another new news break here. It says New York Times Magazine editor, the poetry editor, resigns over the Gaza war. What a steep loss for the New York Times. Ann Boyer's resignation as the poetry editor for the New York Times may go down as the pivotal moment where it all turned. All right, well, good luck with that, Miss Boyer. Wow. All right, well, we'll continue watching. If something of a more important news nature comes across my desk, I will let you know what happens next.
Okay. Social cleaning, it's a different time. They're full cyanide. They call us the worst of the worst. Tax collectors. Watch this.
Big business pollutes and plunders the planet.
We actually have to shift from pursuing endless growth to thriving.
Governments constantly fall short on their own climate promises.
Things have to happen now.
This is a real wake-up call for the government.
Modern systems are failing nature and humanity. Discovering how the systemic changes needed for the planet to flourish could happen.
We can't just tweak it. We need to fundamentally rethink it.
Earthrise on Al Jazeera.
What we see in the last week is an unprecedented amount and volume of violence in the West Bank against Palestinians. This violence is, I would say, directed in order to deport entire communities from where they are living. This is something which we started to see several years ago, but in the last weeks we see 13, 14, 15 Palestinian communities, and there are dozens of other communities which are threatened by settlers and by the military. And it's important to emphasize that it's settlers and military. This is something which we haven't seen in the West Bank in the last 50-something years.
In 1948, when Israel ethnically cleansed Palestine, sending 75% of the Palestinian population fleeing, never to be able to return, what remained were two small parts of historic Palestine. One part is the Gaza Strip, and the second part is the West Bank. And in 1967, Israel occupied those two places, but they then started to build illegal Israeli settlements, and there are now roughly 200 illegal Israeli settlements that are in the West Bank, and these illegal settlements have about 750,000 Israelis living on them. Why is it that they're illegal? Because they're classified as such under international law.
And we've already seen that in certain areas that the settlers have already managed to take over swaths of Palestinian land that they were unable to take over before. Because the world's attention is now shifted to the Gaza Strip, as it should be, because there's genocide happening there, the settlers are using this opportunity to carry out their own crimes. And it's not just the settlers. I'd be remiss if we just somehow made it out that it's just the settlers. This is the settlers, this is the army, this is government policy. It's the settlers who are implementing government policy. They're not acting in contradiction to it. We've seen that settlers have been attacking Palestinians in these areas that are not under the control of the Palestinian Authority. There have been so many attacks that the UN has said that this is the highest level of settler attacks that they've ever recorded.
Regularly, settlers are protected by soldiers. It means that settlers routinely burn down olive groves or attack Palestinians in the West Bank. Soldiers either turn a blind eye, are literally watching when this is happening, or they help out. And the fear now is that many more Palestinians will be killed, but also many villages will be forced to leave, and they have nowhere to go. And that's an outrageous outcome.
It's important to say that settler violence is built-in component in the Israeli settlement enterprise. It's something which goes to the very foundation of this enterprise. none of Israeli settlement in the West Bank could exist and would be established without violence. Now, this violence can be divided into two parts. The institutional, so-called state violence, and then the privatized settlers violence. And both of them together work for many, many, many years in order to take as much as possible of land and to get Palestinians out of the area.
أنا سبب رحلتي من هان أنا بدي أرحل خايف على أولادتي خايف المستوطنين في الليل يتهجموا علي وتهجموا علي بالسيارة يوم أحداث اللي صارت في غزة بدي يدهسني أنا مش بدي يدهس الغرب.
Let me be sure of something, folks. I just want to make sure, if you just give me a moment, we'll come right back to that. I want to make sure that I am sharing the audio. I'm hoping that I was. And if not, I'm sure you will understand.
وهلكيت أنا في الحالة هذه هاني بتيع في حوايجي وبدي أرحل لأني خايف إن المستوطنين يتهجموا علي وتهجموا علينا في المراعي. يعني إحنا هلكيتها في الحالة هذه ما ظلناش ولا مرعى. بدنا نأمن على حالنا ما فيش مطرح أمين هو بس بدنا نحاول نكرب على الكرة لخوف المستوطنين يتهجموا علينا. والله يا عم إني أنا خايف أقول لك مش خايف لا والله إني خايف ودي أرحل من المنطقة هذه خوف من المستوطنين لأن المستوطنين يتراب عليها وخايف وبدي أرحل.
The Palestinians on the ground are basically helpless, and they know that, I believe. There are Palestinians that are so afraid, of course, because the settlers are armed, so they won't fight back. The entire community flee from their homes. I'll say they gave up. They know they have no protection, they know they can't protect themselves, and so they have to leave, and this is forcible transfer, right? Forcible transfer is making an environment, it's a coercive environment that the people can't live, to create a reality where people can't live on their land. And this is a forcible transfer as much as the other, and this is both a war crime.
There was a huge expansion in violence in the West Bank, and settlers were in power. Now, there's no doubt 2023 has seen the most right-wing government in the country's history. That's true, but it's a mistake to believe that Netanyahu simply is the ultimate ringmaster here. He's Prime Minister and he's ultimately responsible, but the problem goes far, far deeper than just him.
طبعا من 7 أكتوبر وجيش الاحتلال الإسرائيلي أغلق جميع المداخل سواء المؤدية إلى مدينة الخليل أو المؤدية إلى مدينة يطا، فبالتالي سياراتنا صارت واحدة على الجهة هاي واحدة على الجهة هاي، بطلنا نعرف نتنقل، احتياجات البيت بطلنا نعرف نجيبها كما يجب. أبسط الأشياء اللي هي كنا يعني أشياء بسيطة للبيت مثل جرة الغاز صار كثير صعب إن نوفرها للبيت. طلاب المدارس لما بدهم يروحوا على مدارسهم كمان الطرق مسكرة والطرق خطيرة وجيش الاحتلال دائما واقف.
فيش امان. احنا كمان بعدين في منطقة تل رميدة الاحتلال بيعمل نوع من التهجير، بس مش التهجير بقول لك يلا انت روح اطلع من بيتك، لا هو بحكيها حكيها من قبل، فعليا هو حكيها بس لا حاليا شو بيسوي؟ بيضغط عليك بكل الطرق. أنا كأحمد شفت كل أنواع العنف، شفت الاعتقالات، شفت الطخ، شفت الضرب، شفت التعذيب اللي هو قيمة التعذيب بالشوارع. أنا شفتها من قبل المستوطنين والجيش، أنا تعرضت لها. كل واحد ساكن في منطقة تل رميدة برضه تعرض لها.
After October 7th, here in Hebron, many Palestinians were detained. I was detained and tortured by the Israeli military and by Israeli settlers in an army uniform. I was beaten and kicked. They spat on me. They sexually harassed me. They really tortured me for 10 hours. Now I see a lot of videos coming out from the soldiers. They filmed themselves torturing Palestinians, dehumanizing Palestinian detainees. The Palestinian families who are living under the curfew and the lockdown and under the Israeli military supremacy, they suffer from lack of food, lack of water. They suffer from the lack of safety. They feel that they may kill them anytime. They are terrified. They are intimidated. Palestinians don't get access to ambulance, to hospitals. It's a kind of being in jail without protection and without food, with intimidation all the time and with attacks and violence from the Israeli settlers from time to time.
المفروض حسب كلامهم، حسب كيف بيقول اللي هو القانون الإسرائيلي، إنه لازم يحموا الجالين، يحموا الفلسطينيين ويحموا الإسرائيليين اللي هو الجيش الإسرائيلي. بس الجيش الإسرائيلي ما هو كله مستوطنين، كله عنصريين. فأنا كأحمد في منطقة تل رميدة تحت الحكم العسكري، أما المستوطن تحت الحكم المدني، وهذا بيختلف كتير، بيعمل معادلة كتير كبيرة. يعني أنا لما مستوطن بده يجي يعدي علي، أنا راح أعتقل وأنا راح أضل عند الشرطة عبين ما أبين فيديو أو أي إشي إنه أنا مش عامل إشي، أنا مش مادد إيدي أحدا، أنا مش ضاربه، هو اللي اعتدى علي. أما إذا ما فيش فيديو والمستوطن حكى إنه هذا هو اللي ضربني، خلاص أنا المستوطن عنده مصدق أو الجندي كذلك الأمر. يعني بقول له هذا ممنوع يعدي اليوم، بيعديهوش. إنه هدول بالآخر هو احتلال بكل أنواعه. الاحتلال هو مستوطن أو جندي عسكري، هو احتلال.
انت شو بدك بس افهم، ما إله قانون ان يمد ايده على السياره. لا معي الشرطه جايه، ايش بتشوف هلا بتشوف الفيديو.
In the West Bank, the settlers are going wild, attacking Palestinians, with the Israeli soldiers watching it, sometimes aiding it. In other parts of the West Bank where the Palestinian Authority is present, the army has come in on a number of occasions, arrested people, demolished homes. Nobody's protected those Palestinians either. There's nobody who's protecting us. This is the problem. We are stateless, refugee population, protected by no one. We see that what their ultimate aim is to get rid of as many Palestinians as possible, take as much Palestinian land as possible, and they have not been secret about it. Each and every level of the government has been clear about what it is that they want, and the world's just cheering them on.
What we see in the last year is that the most racist, nationalist, violent, criminal government ever in Israel. This government obviously has members which are openly declaring that they are supporting the deportation of Palestinian communities and Palestinians from what they declare, what they define as the land of Israel.
The ultimate vision here, really, I fear, is two things. And it is either a Jewish theocratic state where Palestinians are given a choice. You either accept our rule forever under an apartheid state, or you leave, forcibly or otherwise. And that's frankly a key plan of one of Israel's key ministers, Smotrich. Before October 7, there was a discussion by the far-right Israeli government this year to give far more weapons to Israeli settlers to apparently protect themselves from Palestinians. October 7 happens, and there's been lots of footage of Itamar Ben-Gvir, one of the senior Israeli far-right ministers, literally giving weapons to settlers, some of the most extreme settlers. It's framed as if the Palestinians are the violent ones. The Palestinians are resisting the colonization of their land. And the idea that you have more settlers being armed in already what is a lawless Wild West type situation is petrifying.
There's consequences. We're seeing settlers that are setting fire to homes in the West Bank, homes of those Bedouin communities, those Palestinian communities, and the settlers coming and beat people, just physically assaulting them, and it goes up to armed settlers that shooting Palestinians to death.
The settlers, once they are being recruited to the military, they are serving in the military in the same places where they live. In other words, the same settler who lives in Itzhar, the next day can be now the policeman in Burin. Just imagine, okay? This is how it works, okay? That means that the privatized, violent, is now becoming institution. Now it's becoming, the same people are doing the same thing which they have done before, more and with uniforms.
واحنا كنا ساكنين بالطبقة التحتة والجيش اجى على الدار الطبقة الثانية وعلى طول ناديت صار يخبط على الباب فوق ناديت عليه قلت يا عم يا حيال فيش حدا موجود في البيت وأنا كنت أقول له فيش حدا وهو يقول له اسكت ودخلوا على البيت وكسروا الباب ودخلوا فوق ظلوا يفتشوا ملقوش نزلتهم على دار ابني اللي احنا قاعدين فيها واجوا هان برضو اخذوا ابني وطلعونا بشكل سريع وحطونا بالسيارة على الأرض وعصبوا عينينا على طول ورجلينا عصبوا مباشرة يعني الرجلين حطوا فينا كلبشات وفي العين معصبة والإيدين لورا مربوطات لورا. بعد ما اعتقلوني انا اخذوني وبعدين صاروا يروحوا على دار فلان وعلان وهيك يقف عند هذا ويجيبوا واحد يقف عند هذا يجيبوا اثنين واخر شيء حطوا تقريبا في الجيب يا 8 يا 10 والله ماني عارف لكن تقريبا بالعدد هذا. هناك صار الحادث والتصوير اللي هو مبين في اللي هم بثوه يعني احنا اصلا ما عرفنا الا لانهم هم بثوه ونشروه. وضعه زي ما هو متضح في الصورة. الآن برضو هم ما بيسمحوش إلك تتكلم، يعني لو بيسمحوا مجال إلك تتكلم وتعبر عن رأيك خلص هم ماخذين فكرة إنك إرهابي، ماخذين فكرة إنك كذا. فلا ما هو سامح لك تتكلم. لو سامح لك تتكلم وتاخذ وتعطي أقل ما فيها يعني بصير حتى ود بين اللي في الاعتقال. طبعا زي ما أنت شايف أنا هاي صورتي أبو الدشداش، هذه صورة ابني، هذه صورة براء الهريني، في شاب اسمه حسن الهريني أخو لبراء. براء زي ما أنت شايف كيف بنطلونه نازل. ليش نازل أنا؟ هل إنه منهم؟
Palestinians are calling for international protection. We are calling to make Israel accountable for its crime here in the West Bank. Israel is not defending itself, it's defending its occupation, its apartheid, and its supremacy.
What is so infuriating is that much of the international community, and when I always say that I mean essentially the US and the EU, are doing nothing, as if somehow Joe Biden or Anthony Blinken or an EU official asking or begging the Israelis to do something is going to help, as if history started on October 7. This has been going on long before October 7, and what's happening since is the fruits of those inactions, that much of the international community has done nothing.
Many countries would like to condemn what they're seeing in the West Bank, but they're not going into actions.
The United States is giving aid. It's actually sending weaponry. It's actually sent its own troops. There are 2,000 troops. In addition to the money and the troops, they're also giving Israel diplomatic cover, and they're being the diplomatic bully.
It comes down to the idea that whether we in the international community are willing to accept Israel becoming a full-blown theocratic state. Now, Israel promotes itself globally as a thriving democracy, which I've always thought was nonsense, because if you're a Jew, sure, but if you're not, essentially you're treated as a second-class citizen. But in the short to medium term, I fear that Israel is relatively comfortable in its position, because I do not see any serious international pressure to change that.
لجنة حقوق الإنسان، الاتحاد الأوروبي، كله لازم يطلع لنا إحنا كفلسطينيين، مش بس برضه في تل رميد، كل الفلسطينيين اللي بيصير فيهم ما حدا مطلع لنا. إحنا بنطالب كل واحد بيقدر يعمل إشي يوقف مع الشعب الفلسطيني في أي شغلة، إحنا معه في أي إشي بيعمله.
الاحتلال طول عمره حارمنا من حقوقنا الأساسية، سواء حق النقل.
I think we've heard enough, right? We know the plight of the folks there is just detrimental to common health and common sense. While I have this on the screen, and I'll show you what I mean, that moniker now is live. If you go to DougRice.com, you will be directed to the DougRiceShow.com, which is pretty much the same thing. So I'm glad to have that news to bring, because I've had this, as you can see, For those of you that are looking at this image, DougRice.com, that was created, as you can see, it was dated 2007. A guy named Fatso, who is a famous, and I'm going to say world famous tagger in the state of Florida. I think he was almost run out of the state of Florida because his tagging was kind of amazing. So that is a very, very prime piece of graffiti real estate that I am proud to say belongs to me. Now, back to the cam. There is the live cam, folks. Gaza. Now, you see the live cam showing all of the flares that they're shooting. Those flares are constant, usually non-stop, especially if they got an operation going on, you know. There's more news. They've got a couple of more updates. And we're going to show you these updates right now. I'm going to minimize this a little bit somehow, put it in the corner again. Keep an eye on that corner. Now, I'm a little bit curious as to this. Whoa. Sorry about that, folks. This arrangement here. Interesting. This just out. 1 minute. 1 minute ago. What we know about Indonesian hospital. So there is a hospital that is filled with Palestinians. The hospital is located in Beit La in northern Gaza. Healthcare workers say they've been forced to completely cease operations, citing a critical shortage of supplies. It has capacity of 140 patients. But its director says about 500 patients are in the hospital currently. And let's see what they got to say. Anything interesting? Yeah, I got to say. This place that I call. Everyone explaining to her that.
A short while ago, the Israeli army defended its relentless attacks on hospitals and ambulances. The post was quickly deleted from the platform X, formerly known as Twitter. Let's take a look at what it said, because this is not the first time Israel has tried to justify its bombardment of healthcare facilities. Now, the post says ambulances are used to transport patients in need of medical care, and hospitals are places where patients receive treatment, right? But the Israeli army says Hamas uses ambulances to transport its operatives and weapons, disguising them as civilians. It goes on to state that hospitals are in fact terrorist infrastructure and not used for medical purposes. It points out this is against international law, and it says turns hospitals and ambulances into legitimate military targets. Now, this is a claim the Israeli army has made before, that Hamas is using hospitals as cover for its command centres. But for more on this, let's speak to Diana Bhutto, a Palestinian lawyer and former legal advisor to the Palestine Liberation Organisation. She joins us now from Haifa. Thank you very much for being on Al Jazeera. First of all, what is your reaction to this tweet that was sent out by the Israeli military, especially when it comes to the line, hospitals and ambulances are legitimate military targets?
Look, the Israeli army has been dying to try to make things that are otherwise illegal, to try to turn them into legal. And we all know that it is illegal to hit hospitals, it is illegal to hit ambulances, it is illegal to deny care to the sick and to the wounded. And Israel persists because it can. And I think it's very important for us to put this in its proper context. These same allegations were made in 2008 and 2009, again in 2012, again in 2014. They have never been proven. And what we do know is that Palestinian doctors, international doctors, doctors from international organizations, everybody has come out and said that this is actually not being used for any military purposes, and therefore it is illegal. Therefore, the onus is on Israel to prove that it's illegal. But even if it tries to do that, we have to bear in mind what Israel is doing. It's trying to commit genocide against Palestinians, and this is why it must be stopped now.
I mean, how compelling is this as potential evidence in any future investigation or trial?
You know, they have no evidence. They have no intelligence whatsoever. In fact, there have been demands by Palestinians for an independent investigation to come in and look through the hospitals. But of course, this has always been rejected by Israel because they want to continue to dangle these fake allegations in order to make legal what is otherwise illegal. And this is what Israel has always been trying to do. You don't need to have a degree in international law to understand that hitting a hospital is illegal. But what Israel's trying to do is sell the world that what it's doing is right. And we all know that it is criminal.
I mean, like you say, they are trying to sell this narrative to the world. At this stage, do you think it is working and that many of the Western nations that are allied with Israel are buying it?
I don't think they're buying it, but I don't think they're doing anything to stop it either. When you see that for the past 2 days, we have not received an accurate toll of people who've been killed by Israel in the Gaza Strip because the Ministry of Health is not able to operate. And when you see the level of damage that Israel is inflicting, and when you hear the genocidal statements that Israeli leaders are saying, it should demand from the world that it put pressure on Israel to stop. But instead, while they may not be believing Israeli lies, they're still allowing Israel to persist with carrying out these attacks, and they're quite brutal.
Just in regards to the allegations that are mounting every day against Israel, saying crimes against humanity, genocide, violations of international humanitarian law. I mean, how does or should that process around investigating and prosecuting those allegations, how is that likely to proceed, if at all?
Look, there are already organizations that are working and collecting evidence regarding Israeli war crimes. They've been doing this not only since the first day of the attack, but for years before, because this is unfortunately not the first attack. And there is a mountain of evidence from statements of Israeli leaders, including the prime minister and the president himself. There is a mountain of evidence in terms of the more than 1,000 family massacres that have been perpetrated. There's a mountain of evidence in terms of the attacks on hospitals. The real question is whether a court is actually going to listen to this, and I certainly hope they do so. If they don't, it tears decades of international law to pieces and shows the world that what is really important is might rather than law, and we must not go down this path of allowing might to be right.
Thank you so much, Diana. We really do appreciate it. Diana Buttu, Palestinian lawyer and former legal advisor to the Palestine Liberation Organization. Thanks so much.
Well, there you have it from the mouth of, those that are suffering so greatly through these horrific incidences. Welcome again to the Doug Rice Show. My name is Doug Rice, the host of the Doug Rice Show, doing live from Cam with the Gaza Strip up there. And, they have occasional flares that go off, things of that nature. And we're just looking into what is occurring over there. This sound, you also have sound, so just remember that. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, we're brought to you by Twidware. Twidware, or Twid, which is the brand itself. I just want you to go to twidware.com. I want you to get yourself something nice, some skincare, some Twid gear. Use the promo code that you see below, TDRS, The Doug Rice Show. Get you 10% off, just so you know. And looks like they were doing something to the camera there. As you guys can see, it's dawn is slowly approaching. Alexa, what time is it in Israel?
In Israel, it's 8:34 p.m.
Totally mistaken. Dawn is setting, and my mistaken on that. Apologies. Dawn is setting, obviously. That's good. That gives us a lot of time to go through this. And just stay tuned. Thankfully, they are going to be on for the rest of the night. They've got a blackout, as you can see. There's no power. So there's no communication power, as I understand it. And right now, they've got Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh will be delivering a speech, so we'll see what ears they may reach. Now, let me see what they got here. Looks like they're saying that, again, they're complaining that the Israelis are genociding Palestinians. which does appear to be what they are doing. You know, it's. I mean, I guess it's their day to ruin. Who knows? I don't know. All right, I'll be back in a little bit. For you folks, just take a look and listen. Good morning, folks. How are you? This is Doug Rice, the Doug Rice Show, live with the Palestine cam, the Gaza cam, live from Gaza. And I want to remind you folks that, again, as a Negro, as a true Israelite, as a Hebrew by blood, I don't take any side. Both sides are culpable in the sale of slaves during the Arab and transatlantic slave trade. So I just want that foundation to be made before I continue. But let me please massage your mental sinew with this. And let me tell you why I didn't want you to miss this, because just the first line of the article, this coming, I guess, I don't know if I'm going to be able to tell you where it's from, but I'll get the bona fides, I promise. I'm pretty sure Mark Lamont Hill is a name that most of us, we can fill in the blanks regarding his gratitude and thanks toward Palestinians who got him a job in, I think, Al Jazeera or someplace, I forgot. But he was fired from CNN, MSNBC, because he stood for the Palestinians. But just to say that, it says here, organization 2008 supported Mark Lamont Hill. If they think that that is showing support for black people, I got a thing to teach them still. Because that ain't showing support for black people. That's showing support for one Negro that shows support for you. Let's see what this says. Educators must tell the truth about, educators must be truth tellers about the Israel-Palestine conflict, like the teaching of black history. The right to give an honest account of Israelis' crimes has come under threat by Ryan Miller, and this was just a few days ago. Let's check it out. There is a war against black history. That's the reason I wanted to check this out. There is a war against black history. I'm going to read this as well as I can, so you guys listen up, all right? There is a war against black history. Educators didn't enlist in this fight, but their classrooms are now battlegrounds. Efforts to silence black history are part of the overall scheme by conservatives to erase inconvenient truths such as white supremacy, racial capitalism, and systematic racism, as these truths explain many, if not most, of the challenges we face as a society. And for that reason, most educators must teach these truths and defend the right and obligation to teach them. Another truth that educators must teach and defend, no matter how inconvenient or uncomfortable, concerns the 75-year occupation of Palestine by the Israeli government and its people. Now, before I continue, because I know everybody's, just waiting with bated breath at the next sentence, we know, I don't like it when they invoke Martin Luther King. Now, we had Amy Schumer invoke Martin Luther King to establish her support for the state of Israel, and now we've got this edifice that uses the same personage, Martin Luther King, to establish its point. I wonder what they're going to say. Let's see. So Martin Luther King, in his speech Beyond Vietnam, said he was increasingly compelled to see the war as an enemy of the poor and to attack it as such. King pointed out that those who manufacture weapons and sanction their use get rich while the victims of these weapons are harmed and pushed further into destitution. What the world is witnessing is the bombardment of an occupied people suffering from poverty and apartheid. It is a genocide, and whether or not it is comfortable to hear, the United States government is complicit in it. Financial support for Israel has led to the deaths of thousands of Palestinians, many of whom live in poverty. Currently, more than 11,000 Palestinians have been killed, 4,000 of whom were children. And I'll say again, my wife this morning, she and I, we had a good confab about this situation. And look at that, I can even do that, folks. Look at that, isn't that nice? And I had something to say, and I'll say it again, because that's just, I'm that way. The folks that are, feeling the brunt of this, I have to make a point that I don't think you can miss. We all know the Arab slave trade is still in full force, okay? We all know that they were hand in hand with the Jews to sell Negroes, of course, right? And we were given instruction long ago to do away with all the population of the Canaanites, and it didn't stop with the elderly. It didn't stop with children. Now, I can tell you right now, everybody is up in arms about what's happening, and I understand that. But had this not occurred, I wonder what the word would be if a Negro showed up to see what it was like in Palestine, dealing with folks like our kind. If this wasn't going on and you and I just showed up in Palestine, I wonder how we'd be received. I want to ask this, I thought about this as well. How many of you have deeply entrenched relationships with Palestinians? How many of you Negroes know Palestinians on a one-to-one basis? You associate with them on a regular basis. They invite you into their homes, into their lives, into their experiences. How many Arabs are you knowing that are friendly toward Negroes as a general rule? I mean, can we keep saying Palestinians? Let me take you to school, okay? Same folks that have shops in our neighborhood, same folks that look at us suspiciously as we come in to buy some of their wear. They have a tendency to just stand there and stare. Those are Arabs. Those could very well be Palestinians. You see, there's really no differentiation between these things. These are the same people that sell Negroes into slavery today. Ignoring that fact while they get bombarded is not going to go away. So I'm not one to be dispassionate about another circumstance. I'm just saying, give another point of view a chance. All right, so let's continue reading and on the show. I hope everybody's enjoying yourself. If you're not, I apologize for that. I'm trying the best I can to make this as entertaining as possible. Now let's go back to the reading. I'll move this out the way a little bit and we can hear the rest of what I have to say. As stated by the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, what Hamas did in October, let me give you full screen, what they did October 7th didn't happen in a vacuum. Let me read that again because it is important to understand that what happened by the uttered words of the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is that what Hamas did on October 7th did not happen in a vacuum. Leading up to his current conflict, this current conflict was the merciless escalation in the occupation of Palestine by, according to Jewish Voice for Peace, the most racist, fundamentalist, right-wing government in Israeli history. And that, my folks, doesn't leave any mystery as to what these folks stand for, what they believe. It's really not too difficult to understand what they perceive to be their right to do, what they feel they need to in order to protect themselves as a Jew. That's just it. I'm not pulling any punches. I'm not taking anybody out to any lunches. This isn't even about bunches. This is about, them tight crunches. This fits in the tight parameters of what they're experiencing. And that in itself, just reading it again, leading up to this current conflict was the merciless escalation in the occupation of Palestine by, according to the Jewish Voice for Peace, which is their own publication, the most racist, fundamentalist, right-wing government in Israeli history. So, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? What we're talking about is two factions that have been at war with each other ever since they sold Negroes out of position. That's what we're looking at. You see the mission? I told my wife something, and it came to a realization about what may be going on within the nation. And we were sold out of position. This is all our fault. This is the fault of Negroes. let me explain what's happening. We were warned that if we were disobedient and we did not adhere to the laws and statutes, and we would be sold into slavery. I remember hearing that, right? So that happened. And as a result of us being sold out of position, the vacuum that was created is now being filled by all of the violence we see over in the Middle East. Someone is so hell-bent, some individual that the devil sent wants to be a Negro so bad, and not being one makes them so sad that they're willing to do this to hold on to the position of Negroes, hell, set apart. And had we been faithful, had we been loyal, had we not sacrificed our children to the fires of Baal, or was it Maldok or whoever it was, we wouldn't have been sold into slavery. We would not be out of position. There would be no vacuum trying to be filled. And the true worship would be spread across the globe. Now, as it just happens, the Creator's word does not leave his mouth without being fulfilled. So there's still a lot more for us to do still. And we have to be in the right environment, the right moment. And of course, we have to be, we got to be contrite, and we have to have, our lives right. All right, well, there we go. So that's what's going on with the show. Here, again, we got the live cam. Don't know if I don't want to make it that big, but yeah, there we go. All right, folks, I'm going to leave it up. I'm going to see what happens. We got 2 hours, 14 minutes into this. If something happens, well, I will be live. That's pretty nice. I like that. Welcome again to the Doug Wright Show. Check out the places down below that give you the twidware.com URL. He's got some nice stuff that he does sell. He sells athletic gear. He sells skincare. Twid is the brand. Twidware is one of the brands. Twid Skincare is a brand. The Twid Pack, $149 delivers, gives you a shirt, shorts, hoodie, and shoes. Shirt, shorts, hoodie, shoes. All twitted out, as we say, because that's what I do. That's the Twidware moniker. So let's get back to, and if I find some more news, I'll come here and we'll both peruse. Well, I don't know if you guys just saw that. We got a little action smaction happening. I just saw a little bit of something go off. Pay attention, folks. It's about, I think it's coming up on 9 o'clock now that I'm in sync with the time there. We're going to leave this up for as long as we can and come back if we have to. So there it is there. Welcome to the Doug Wright Show. Live cam from Gaza. Pay attention to the skyline, folks. All right. Again, folks, welcome to the Doug Rice Show. We are live Gaza cam. We're looking into the Gaza, skyline, and there is an electronic blackout. There is a telecommunications blackout. They have commandeered. Of course, they've already controlled all of the cell phone towers, but they're not allowing them any internet. They're not allowing them any communications, and that's always an indication that they may have something in store. We just saw another bomb go off there. There might be more. So stick with us, folks, as I find interesting news to read. I will give you the updates that you need. And let me see if there's one here. Looks like they got some photos from the Indonesian hospital as well. Let me give that a little bit of a go here, and then I'll take this here for you. Let's see about these, if you please. What we got here? Bam. So these are photo scenes from the Indonesian hospital in northern Gaza. As reported earlier, the Indonesian hospital in northern Gaza is overwhelmed due to a lack of supplies and an influx of patients. And we're going to review some photos and see what they've got going on. Let's take a look. Photos from Indy facility. Well, look at me. This is what these folks are, something. Whoa, what happened there? That was interesting. Whoa, that was real interesting. What happened there? I think my computer decided to do something I didn't want it to do, but let's just keep going. All right, here we go. So that's what these folks are suffering through this is a later update. Now remember, before you get in your Negro feelings, where you show all the care and concern that I know most of us show, and we all should show as Negroes. Remember, again, these folks are not necessarily our friends. I've not seen too many as compadres. I don't, not really. That doesn't mean not to be touchy-feely. It's just mitigate your sympathy. Understand where we sit right now. Of course, we know they're up against it. So they got a guy that's delivering a speech here. Hamas chief says he's confident of victory. Well, hold on. I'm going to let you read this one with me. He says he's confident of victory as we continue to watch the skies. Let's put this bit of news before our eyes. It says the Hamas chief is confident of victory. It says Haniyeh said he is confident in Palestinians' ability to outlast the Israeli offensive. That was nice, wasn't it? Did you see it do that? Of course you did. Uh-oh. Ooh, no. These plans have fallen. The enemy has not been able to achieve any of its goals, return its captives, and that's him right there. If I can stop this. Whoa, folks. All right, let me see what I got here. Yeah, that's better. Back to this. So they're confident. They're saying they can do this. That is what they are saying. I don't know, because to me it just seems that Israel is not playing. To me, but we'll see. Now we saw some explosions, a few explosions here. This is the Doug Rice Show. You got the live cam from Gaza. As you know, if we see more activity, we will come back. But just hang out, like, subscribe, share. We've been on the air for about 2.5 hours. We're going to keep going and see how this goes. I'll be back shortly. Now, if you're hearing people in the background, understand, folks, that we got sound. So this isn't me just playing, just no sound. This is sound, so there are people all around, and it's getting toward nighttime. Hold on. Alexa, what time is it in Israel?
In Israel, it's 9:04 p.m.
So it's if anything's about to go off, I can tell you without doubt, we're gonna catch it here as they descend into the nighttime. That's when most of this stuff really gets going. So we're gonna stick with this as long as we can, and let me let you know if there is a time limit determining my ability to stay live on this platform. I am coming right back on the platform. This is kind of where I want to go with this, in being as live as long as I can. All right. Once again, welcome to the Doug Rice Show on Twitter. I like this shot better. I like that. What we have here, folks, is a live cam from Gaza. A lot of YouTube channels do this. A lot of other channels do this, and so we're going out on 5 different platforms. We've got YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Discord, and X, formerly Twitter. And it's coming up a little bit past 9 o'clock or so at night in Israel, over in Gaza. And we are going to stick with this cam. And we'll be doing this over the next few days because, as I understand it, there are a lot of plans that they have, a lot of preparations. Now, early this morning, word on the street was that Iran is doing a little bit of backpedaling. And the reason this is the case is because Hamas did not inform Iran of its activities. And so Iran has said that they're not going to join in this battle. Now, some are also saying it's a head fake. Some are saying that Iran may not be able to control its contributories, its satellites. The Houthis are excited about all that's going on. The Houthis are extremely, they're agitated regarding the whole issue. And so it's going to be an interesting determination how they go about this. Now, they just got an alert here, says that the body, and I saw this earlier, it says the body of a woman, a hostage, has been recovered. And that is sad news. Body of Israeli hostage found near Al-Shifa Hospital. And that's the IDF says that Israeli army says soldiers near Al-Shifa Hospital have found the body of Yehudit Weiss, who was kidnapped from the kibbutz of the area on October 7th. The body was recovered from what the army called a structure near the medical facility. Well, the Israelis are chock full of proof and all the horrors of war committed on the 7th. But their response, though, that's what's really the rub. For 1,500 Israelis, the lives of 11,000 Palestinians are not an even match. So I will leave it at that, and we will continue to watch and see what the night brings the Israeli. All right, listen to me. All right. Once again, folks, this is the Doug Rice Show. We are looking live in Gaza, coming up at about 10 p.m. in the evening. And I just wanted to do this because I've seen other YouTube channels do it, other folks do it. Maybe I'm even testing the limits of how long Restream will let me restream over and over again. But this, I believe, might be one of the new ways we do the show. We're trying to, really push the envelope format-wise. Visit thedoughriceshow.com when you get a chance. It's our new website. And we're brought to you by Twid. Twid, that's what I do. That's the brand. We want you to order Twid wear, Twid gear, Twid skincare, order so that we can stay in order. Let me see, I get a news alert. Sometimes I get these news alerts which interrupt me right in the middle of my live. Of course, that's always fun, but we're going to be here until the hearing is done. All right, folks, let's get back to it. If I find some news interesting, I will report it. Okay, folks, I want to share something I found interesting. It says the IDF stripping people at Al-Shifa, Israel, a terror state. So I'm going to throw up my disclaimer up there in the corner, and I'm going to play this short because I'm interested in you seeing it. Here we go. It plays, right? Uh-oh. Oh, man, I made it do something it didn't want to do. Who knows what? Oh, wait. Wait, is it going? Oh, there you go. Sorry about that. Here we go. Erdogan asks Netanyahu if Israel has nuclear weapons. U.S. frustrated with Israel over civilian deaths in Gaza. An Al-Shifa hospital officer said the Israeli army was blindfolding, stripping, and taking displaced people sheltering to an unknown destination. The head of the emergencies department at the Al-Shifa hospital refuted Israeli claims that any incubators, well, you saw that one. However, the Israeli Defense Forces released videos showing soldiers bringing humanitarian aid to the hospital. No clashes, only gunfire. Video released by Gaza's Ministry of Health shows medics at the Al-Shifa hospital hit by a shell while attempting to evacuate patients. Medics moved patients on stretchers in what was said to be smoke and dust-filled quarters resulting from the shelling of the hospital. Staff at Al-Shifa hospital told Al Jazeera News that the Israeli army now bombed a medicine store. And the Red Cross voiced alarm over Israeli military activities at Al-Shifa hospital. World Health Organization heads said they've lost touch with personnel there. IDF announced another 4-hour tactical pause on November 15th. Well, that was yesterday. This just came out. That was yesterday. First truck to deliver fuel to Gaza since October 7th. Let's hear what he has to say. Calls him a terror state. Turkish president called Israel a terror state that's committing war crimes and violating international law in Gaza. Speaking to lawmakers in parliament, he repeated his view. The Turkish leader also called on Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to announce whether Israel has nuclear weapons. They do.
Buradan şimdi Netanyahu'ya sesleniyorum. Sende atom bombası var mı? Yok. Yok. Var mı yok? Var mı yok? Sıkıysa açıkla. Ama açıklayamaz. Ey İsrail, sende atom bombası, nükleer bomba var. Ve bununla tehdit ediyorsun. Bunları biz biliyoruz. Ve
and you're whoa.
Artık ecelin geliyor. İstediğin kadar nükleer bombaya sahip ol. Neye sahip olursan ol ama gidicisin. Şu anda gönlüm ferah açık olarak diyorum ki İsrail bir terör devleti.
All right, that was exciting. The reason I wanted to point that out is they've accused Israel of being a terror state, and there he has openly called that they will no longer exist in some way, shape, or form. I thought I'd break for that. You guys take a listen to see if we hear something on the live cam. I'll be back shortly. All right, folks, once again, when I find something interesting, I'm going to go ahead and share it with you. Let's take a look at this.
I made it clear to the Israelis, I think it's a big mistake for them to think they're going to occupy Gaza and maintain Gaza. I don't think that works.
It's like the 1948 Exodus. They are bringing it back in 2023. We have become displaced, from refugees to displaced, and who knows what they will do to us next.
So this is my aunt, Maya Goren. She's from Negroes. In October 7th, the terrorists came to her house and kidnapped her. They murdered her husband, my uncle. She have three sons and one daughter. And we heard nothing from her since then. And me and my family very worry for her and want her back, want our government and the world to know that.
All right, folks, you saw that, and it just brings to mind to me, to completely understandable. Your parents and your relatives get kidnapped, and it's absolutely a travesty. But it does bring to mind for me, when they took Negroes from their homes and kidnapped them and took them to places. And so, I try to have a relatable experience and try to do these shows with an objective mind. But the more I think, the more I find, hey, I wonder what they think of our kind. All right, let's continue. See if we see something. We're coming up on 3 hours of continuous live from Live Cam Gaza. If I see something interesting news-wise, I will share it with you. Thanks so much. Well, as you can see, folks, I think I'm going to call it for just a moment. For the day, I'm going to get some rest, get out of here, get out of the way. Wanted to tell you about Twidwear and the Twid gear and Twid the brand. Please go to Twidwear and order some of the Twid gear. You can use TDRS as a promo code, and you'll receive 10% off all Twid gear. I do appreciate you being here. Just wanted to do this as sort of an experiment. I want to say sort of an experiment, but it did go smoothly. So I am going to bow out. You guys have a wonderful day, and you'll see me back today before the day is over. All right. Bye-bye.